Peace and blessings, and welcome back to the Heritage Hip Hop Podcast. This episode is brought to you by heritagehiphop.com. We are more than music. By introducing you to your future favorite artists today and giving homage to the MCs that helped pave the way and the people who helped build the hip hop culture from the past, we celebrate God's heritage, and his heritage is his people, and our heritage is hip hop. So please follow us at heritagehiphop.com, become a member, and experience more interviews, podcasts, YouTube, music, and artist profiles that we celebrate as a part of the hip hop culture starting from New Jersey around the world. This episode is also sponsored by Transparent Credit Repair, the superheroes of the financial literacy and credit repair world. Changing your life and your financial future only takes 15 seconds. And to do such, go to heritagehiphop.com and click on the link for Transparent Credit Repair. By filling out the application, you get 20% off of all services and you get to change your life. So open your wallet up to more income instead of paying out more debt by going to heritagehiphop.com and filling out the application for Transparent Credit Repair. You change your life in 15 seconds. On this episode of the Heritage Hip Hop Podcast, we go back to talk to one of the pioneers. Shout out to Black Sheep. Shout out to Dres of Black Sheep, who's continuing his legacy by not only representing the past, being a solo artist, but also continuing his legacy with a new group and his own movement on his own label. Yeah, we got to give respect to those who helped line up the game and lay the groundwork for us to not only appreciate the music, but to see the growth and experience the appreciation of the game as well. So I'm not going to talk too long. With that being said, check out the interview, and I'll come back with the rest of my commentary when the interview is done. Peace and blessings, and welcome back to the Heritage Hip Hop Podcast, where we introduce you to your future favorite artists today, and we celebrate those who help make hip hop special for us. And on the line tonight, I have one of the most innovative, smooth MCs that you are jealous of, and you hate to admit it. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, this is the Black Sheep Dres.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for coming on Heritage Hip Hop. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, fam. It's all up.
All right, so I want to ask you this question. Let's go back into the heart of what was hip hop like when you first came into the industry?
Man, hip hop was so amazingly dope at this point in time. It was like this girl that you had seen around that you finally get a chance to talk to and know and get to know, and you're talking on the phone and you're hanging out and this, that, and the other. That's kind of what hip hop was. It was this young, pretty girl that we all got to kind of hang out with and kick it with and get her perspective and offer our perspective, and it was always taken sincerely and it was real, and you got a chance to peep other people's perspectives through her eyes almost, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of dope, it was a real selfless time like that, like I was running with the collective, the Native Tongue Collective, and it was an amazing time in life to be in the room, you know what I'm saying? And like to just learn so many things, even some of the things we learned at the same time, you know what I'm saying? But some of the things you were being shown. And like you had to be paying attention, and you had to look into yourself to your offerings, you know what I'm saying? And it was just dope. And even on a regional and bi-coastal and even cross-continental aspect, it had its own around the way girl, so to speak, and everybody was being introduced to this chick in their own environment, so to speak, and we all saw her the same, so there might be different slangs and there might be different variations of what that region offers, but there was a lot of us getting the same thing at the same time. It was like, like a real pubescent moment in life. You know what I'm saying? And the world smelled good. it is now, I think we saw a lot of what could be, and we pushed a lot of, we definitely was a voice of what existed, but we also offered a lot of, opportunity if we just believed in ourselves, you know what I'm saying? Like even to this day, yeah, there is systemic things that are definitely and have been to our hindrance and an obstacle. But just as those before us, like rise anyway. You know what I'm saying? We're in the process of, being able to vocalize some of the things that must be changed better than ever before, I think, and we're probably closer to them being addressed. But regardless, you know what I'm saying, rise anyway. That's who we are. And that's what we offer the world. And let's be that again. You know what I'm saying? Whereas the music today, not to belittle it, I definitely see how advantageous the business side of what's offered to the artists today. I commend how well they've monetized and been able to make a brand and been able to create platform, and all of the business aesthetics, are much greater than, what I've known and been privy to as far as being an artist. But at the same time, the artistry has diminished to a point that it's just become, microwavable and computer chipped and, just synthetic, you know what I'm saying? And, hopefully we can get to a place, moving forward where there's just a little more balance, and that's what the whole scenario needs, just a little more balance.
Well, let's take it back to the art form of it, because hip hop today, I think, is not a far cry of where it was, because some of the same so-called negatives, I guess, people have about it existed back then. And I remember when Black Sheep first came out, you were looked at as a rehashing of something that people didn't admit that they really wanted. You were, besides West Coast MCs, you were one of the most clearly smooth style influential MCs that came out at that time. Where did you ever see somebody ever try to knock on Dres because of his delivery, because he was so smooth when he flowed, rather than someone who was, you know the style back then, you know what I'm saying? But you were more, you were more influential with a smooth flow. Did you ever see yourself get compared to like a Big Daddy Kane or something like that when you first initially came out in the game?
Not really. Not to that degree. I mean, I've definitely been fortunate that I feel like I've kind of been accepted on the strength of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been able to be me for my entire career, which is dope. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, though, I'd be never one to not acknowledge, people that inspired me and that I think were dope, and, that I even see, to me, like, little pieces of different artists that I respected, inside of me, but but it's not anything that is overt or anything that is, I don't feel like I take from. I feel like, I'm just made of, more so than, but, my influences being like a Just Ice, whereas, I always feel like he was dangerous, but intellectually, just in step, and, or Tito from the Fearless Four, that I just always feel like he was just, able to paint a picture, or Slick Rick even, whereas, I could see, all of those MCs inside of myself,
Okay.
but you wouldn't necessarily look at me and, you know, and go to any of them, you know, per se, you know, but to look at it, to examine it, you'd be like, okay, well, I could see that, you know, but,
Yeah.
you know, like, especially coming up when we did, like, you know, like, hip hop was us finding our voices, you know what I'm saying, us finding ourselves, you know, and, you know, like, it was a dope time in life for me, you know, especially, like I said, being in the room. You gotta imagine the Calliope sessions that, you know, I'm in a studio session with De La, Tribe, Jungle Brothers, Beat Nuts, Chiali, to, you know what I'm saying, to, you know, Brand Nubian might be hanging out that day, or what, you know, like literally we're all in the same room and one of us is working on music and we're all just kind of just vibing out together. Like that happened, you know, probably like 2-3 times every week, you know, like it was just a dope time in life.
I can feel that. I can feel that. 'Cause I mean, when I think about the times in which you came out, y'all came out at a progressive time in hip hop where a lot of money was coming into the industry. And when Black
It was
Sheep
just
dropped,
starting. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like Puff and them really kind of pulled out the $1 million deals and video budgets, but like that was like all it, we seen that come in, right on our heels. You know what I'm saying? Like it was definitely a time when things were when the guard was changing a little bit.
yeah, yeah. 'Cause I mean, like I said, when Wolf in Sheep's Clothing came out, it was like the continuation of bringing jazz and funk into the game with a smooth orator that brought life into the music. One of my favorite tracks from Black Sheep when y'all first dropped was In the Meantime.
All
That
right,
I thought was one of the smoothest songs I've ever heard in my life. You know what
all
I'm saying?
right, and very
Everybody
intentional,
knows
like
the
coming.
singles. Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
sorry, go ahead.
No, thing coming it was coming behind the skit. So that
Yeah.
was like the perfect contrast to what you just heard, you know what I'm saying? Like it was just, you know, a very smooth song, you know, and that was but in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, like I mean, it was more. It was one of your non. It wasn't typical, you know what I'm saying? Like some people believe hip hop was supposed to be the hard dude, just whatever, or you had the smooth leather boy type thing. But
Mm-hmm.
you were able to deliver the rhyme in a way that not only was it palatable to the people who were looking for the extra rah-rah, but you was able to express and tell stories in your rhymes. Like I said,
Right.
everybody knows the singles. So everybody out there who don't know who I'm talking to. I'm talking to Dres of Black Sheep. Y'all can look up Strobe Light Honey. You can look up The Choice Is Yours, which you will touch on before the end of the interview, and things like that. But as hip-hop goes on, the influence and the impact of Black Sheep is more than just that album and then flow. One of my favorite songs that you did was, what was it called? Yo, with the Brand New
Mm-hmm.
Heavies.
Oh yeah, steady up.
And that's one of the best live concert exhibitions ever MTV ever did, was that spring break when y'all did the Brand New Heavy thing with Naughty by Nature, Salt and Pepper and everything. I want to
Uh-huh.
ask you, as an MC, what hits you more? What's more delightful? Rocking with a live band in front of a crowd, or rocking a hit in front of the same crowd?
I much prefer the DJ aesthetics, like, you know what I'm saying, where, you know, like the instrumental, the DJ, you know, rocking it, you know what I'm saying, be it, you know what I'm saying, the vinyl itself, or, you know what I'm saying, or even, you know what I'm saying, through, any form of, the latest technology, you know what I'm saying, like, but just having the DJ and MC aesthetic in itself, I love that a lot. But the band, I love, I having rocking with a band is just under it though. Like rocking with a band is dope, but I love the aesthetic of playing what we created, you know what I'm saying? And even playing with that, you know what I'm saying? There's times when, you know, we'll do a remix of sort, you know what I'm saying, to what you think what you're already familiar with. We'll play with that, but kind of in the DJ MC capacity, you know what I'm saying, as opposed to it being something that's live, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sound is sound, but there's something like with hip hop track, it's something like when the bass hits, and then with a live band, it's something when the spirit of the music connects to you. You know,
Right. Real talk.
um, yeah, and I mean, as an MC, like I said, your delivery is you're one of the few MCs I believe, and I could be wrong, and it could be a matter of preference to a lot of people, but you're one of the few MCs that I think that can deliver cellular the same way on a live track the same way you deliver on a recorded track because of your delivery. As an
Oh,
MC, how important was delivery to your technique and your style?
oh man, to me, delivery is paramount. You know, like it, ultimately, you know, what I'm saying, like, to be an MC, like, and it happens so frequently, like, you know, like, you write something and life will walk into something you wrote. You know, you write something that's just really abstract, and life will walk into it, or someone will walk into it. It'll look like you're talking about someone, or you look like you're talking about a situation, but it's just some abstract notion that you might put out there. You know what I'm saying? To say that, we all write a lot of the same things to a degree, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the same body, you know, we'll replace the heads, but it's the same body. And so therefore it all breaks down to the delivery. You know what I'm saying? How it's brought to you, how it's said, you know, the inflections, the cadence, you know what I'm saying? How, you know what I'm saying, just how melodic it is to your ear, you know what I'm saying? Like how captivating, how, you know, how staccato to, you know, how softly to whatever, you know what I'm saying? But that becomes something that differentiates you from everybody else that has the same body. You know what I'm saying? Like we all got these same bodies, but just different heads. So how you gonna differentiate really comes down to, you know, how you make it palatable, you know?
Mm-hmm. You're gonna live forever as one of the MCs that you have a guaranteed number one multicultural, multi-genre breaking song, and the choice is yours. And in the song, you actually talk about your crew, which is the native tongue movement.
Right.
For those of them who don't understand who the native tongues is, especially in today's era of the collaboration, why was the native tongues so big, and who were they, and how was it being in such a powerful group or movement at the time?
Well, Native Tongues is a collective of brothers and sisters that were very much, you know what I'm saying, like-minded and shared, you know, the umbrella of a sound that was that was familiar to the depth that it was something that, you know, you felt. You could feel all of our music. And it consisted of De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Jungle Brothers, you had like cats like the Beat Nuts, Chi Ali, Queen Latifah, Moni Love. It was very much kind of fathered by Red Alert, and we had like, you know, like family that we ran with, like a crew called the Violators that basically, you know what I'm saying, kind of was like Red's Red, like Red's brothers, you know what I'm saying, but family to like damn near a security crew, you know what I'm saying, but even brothers to everybody as well. Like it was just this dope scenario of crew that was all prolific and dope artists, and you know, even spawned, dope affiliations, you know, like when you hear a Black Star or a Common, or, you know, saying, you know, even the Pharrells and things thereof, you know, like those are all like product of the native tongue, you know what I'm saying? Like even, you know, sonically, you know, like singers and what have you, you know, like they, you know, like it definitely was reflective of something that was strong and black, you know what I'm saying? Like it was definitely something that is missing today, you know, like it's a voice that needed to be heard now, like whereas, you know, like there's no better time for us to be able to, you know, have some of the strengths that our strong hip hop brought to the table, you know what I'm saying, than right now. You know, and hopefully that's what's about to happen. Like I'm actually about to start a podcast with Moni Love and Mace from De La. It's gonna be called the Native Tongue Cast. And so like hopefully that within the next month or so that should be starting. And you know, we're all working on projects and we're all doing different things. I have a D&D project that's coming up that's like really, really something serious. It's an entire album produced by Dilla. And that'll be this summer. And that's got features from Bun B to Freeway to Jay Sands to so many people on it. CeeLo Green, Chuck D. I got Chi Ali on it, My Songs on it, Del the Funky Homo Sapien is rocking on it. Like so many dope cats. There's my man Alexander Simone, who's the grandson of Nina Simone, Centuria, I got Afro and Lil D. I got a man Source Money on it. Like the project is crazy, and you know, and it's all produced by Dilla. So, you know, like I'm really looking forward to you know, to the continuation of exactly what I've, you know, been doing for going on 30 years now. You know.
And you've been great at it. You were great at it because even as times change, and the reason why I ask that question is because the thing about hip hop I don't like right now is that everybody collabs with everybody to the point where it's overdone. Where when you had a crew like the Native Tongues, right, and everybody in the crew is so different that when you collabed, you really got to see how truly inspirational or great MC was to have to stand out with other entities in the game and yet still have a crew that could just tear it up anytime they touch the mic, and everybody's style was different. You know what I'm saying? Because you said the beatnuts are 100% not like De La Soul in terms of sound.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. But yet it's all yet, you know, we're all using the same machines from the same records, damn near, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all how we hear it and how we hook it up, and you know what I'm saying? Like, and this is my word. And we all were in the rooms together. Like, you know, like early in our career, we all were in, you know, we all spent so much time around each other, but we all maintained our, you know, our own piece of who we were and pushed that forward. But we all, you know what I'm saying, but we all came up together. We all heard each other blossoming and seeing each other shining and, you know, and pushed each other forward. You know, like we all got sharper as a result of us being around each other. You know?
I want to ask you something. The hip hop industry has always been driven off of keeping MCs apart, especially business wise, because the contract was like you couldn't work with this person and you couldn't work with that person. How did y'all maneuver around that and still be able to be exceptional as a group as well as artists on different labels?
You know what I think I think most of the labels kind of respected who we were to each other. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like, you know, whenever we did something with each other, I think labels respected it enough to not step in front of it, you know what I'm saying? And saw that it was mutually beneficial, you know, to them, you know what I'm saying, as well as whoever's record it was, you know what I'm saying? We never really had a lot of issue with that, but I do understand what you're saying as far as, you know, when competing factions a lot of times have, you know, a product in the marketplace that's competing, you know, a label will, you know, try to pull, you know, the okie doke so that they don't have to compete against themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I, you know, I get it for sure. But, and you know, it happens, but we were definitely fortunate that we pretty freely, you know, as far as at least as far as Black Sheep, you know, is concerned, and as far as what I saw, I never saw us ever having any problems with doing records with each other. You know, I know one ever was talking about they couldn't get a release or anything of the sort.
Well, let me ask you this: when Black Sheep kind of separated or separated as a group, and you went out on your own, how did you find your sound? Because on some tracks you kept it jazzy, and in some tracks you went really really, really bass instrumental, I would say, where the bass actually dictated some of your beats. How did you find your sound and your maneuverability as a solo artist as yourself, rather than just the marquee headline in a group?
You know what? Honestly, I just stayed close to what I felt. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as just as far as what I felt in hip hop. You know, like if it felt good to me, then I moved with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I definitely wasn't trying to remix. I felt like there was so much more in the vein of what I offer that hadn't been offered yet. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't finished with it. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, you know, like I'm just gonna stick to what feels good to me. You know what I'm saying? And that's really all I've done. I feel really good at this point because I have a career of music that I've done that I can stand next to because it all feels good to me. You know what I'm saying? Like literally every solo project that I've done, to every collaboration, to every Black Sheep project, like literally every song I've done, I'll stand next to proudly that, you know, it all comes from music that feels good to me. You know what I'm saying? That you know, like I'm not something else and I'm not trying to, you know, mimic anything, and it's me. You know what I'm saying? And it all has the potential to be something great given the opportunity. Like, you know, like I feel like I got plenty of music that hasn't even, that's years old, that hasn't even been discovered yet. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, like the evitaN project, you know, all kinds of stuff, but hopefully this D&D project, you know, reminds people of that, you know, and, you know, like people kind of get pleasantly surprised that there's a whole gamut of projects that I've put together over the years that that speak to what it should be, you know.
Let's talk about something that you just said. So I want to ask you a double-sided question. Being a
Sure.
part of a collective, you get so much from so many different flavorful MCs in your group. And unfortunately, we had to pass in the Fife in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And Fife was one of those MCs that when he finally opened his mouth on the second Tribe album, you was like, where the hell was that? The whole first album. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
for the love that Fife gets throughout the entire hip hop community, how did Fife influence you? And tell me about the making of the song Peace Fife as well.
Okay. Well, Fife was a good dude. Like, and you're right. Like, you know, like Fife first album and second album is us literally witnessing, you know, saying, growth and believing in yourself and you know what I'm saying, and just and just letting it go, and you know, and becoming yourself. You know what I'm saying? We've all witnessed Fife become himself. I think that's why he's so endeared, that, you know, like you know, we as a hip hop community, we saw him stepping into himself. And one of the dopest things, you know, like that I think that's a lesson for everyone, to just, you know, to just embrace who you are and feel free enough to step into yourself. You know, don't be afraid of yourself. But something that Fife really did to me, that for me, that was really dope. To like Fife, you know, like we used to hang out a whole lot, all of us, and Fife was a cat that had a moral compass. And, you know, mind you, like, you know, like we project kids and things thereof, and sometimes, you know, like we could be a little bit crude and crass and fast, you know what I'm saying? And you know, like I remember one night we was all hanging out at this spot called Powerhouse, this club called Powerhouse, the building. And it was at the end of it. And mind you, we're all young, and shoot, I'm saying, like, you know, 18, 19, 20, you know, like that was probably the whole range of maybe about 12, 15 of us. And you know, maybe 21, a couple of us. But just say, so after the club, we all jumping on the train. And literally, you know, like 10, 15 cats jump the turnstile. But Fife goes and pays, gets his token or car, whatever, and pays. And I'm standing there waiting for him. And I'm like, telling myself, I'm like, I know he's not, you know, I know he sees everybody on jumped. I know he's not scared. But that was Fife, though. Fife just had a moral compass, whereas if he was able to do the right thing, he'd do the right thing just because it was the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? And it would be years later before I could really appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when you're young and you could jump the turnstile, you'll jump the turnstile. You know what I'm saying? And it's only when that shit bites your ass that you like, damn, like I didn't have to jump the turnstile. I had money in my pocket the whole time. Now I'm caught up for the one time, that I got caught, it negated every time I got over, but that was Fife. Like Fife had a moral compass and I really learned from that. You know what I'm saying? Sincerely.
So you talked about evitaN. Now, if everybody doesn't know, evitaN is you and Strobe from Tribe working together.
Yeah.
Inspiration behind that. Well, how that happened and where's that going?
I got my own labels called Pool of Genius, and besides putting out some of my own solo projects like AWM or from the Black Pool of Genius, I thought Strobe would be dope to put out a solo project. So I used to be asking him to put something together, and he never wanted to do it. He was in Atlanta at the time, but he wound up moving to New York. And when he got to New York, I was like, all right, Strobe, you got to do some recording, man. Nobody's really heard you like that. Like, yo, like let's put something together. So he's like, okay, bet. He comes to the studio, and I'm figuring the easiest thing to do would be to do a song with him to kind of ease him into the water. So we do a song. The first song was called Keep Keeping On. We even got a video for it. It's dope. Just to say, like we do the song and it comes out so dope. Like we're playing it for people. He played it for Tips like, yo, y'all need to keep on. Like, do more songs. Like, y'all should do something. And, I hadn't even thought about it because I literally just wanted him to do some recording, but we just recorded some more. And it was dope. So we just kept recording. And next thing we knew, we had 20-something songs. And, so we put out a project under the moniker evitaN. evitaN is native spelled backwards. And, we got a dope album out there and a bunch of videos on YouTube. Definitely check us out. And maybe down the line, we'll do another one.
I think, y'all voices actually complement each other. So I want to ask you this. What was the difference in being in a group with Mr. Long, salute to him, to then being in a group with somebody who's not known to be an MC and y'all made hits that changed people's perspective of hip hop and how veterans can deliver hip hop?
I feel like it's all a part of who you are at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? Like rocking with Long in the group aspect was definitely dope. Whereas, we both had our walks, like he'd present tracks and I'd present concepts and, and write and, like it definitely worked for us. And even in the recording process, we definitely helped each other be the best we could be. I feel like doing something with Strobe, whereas he's been a fly on the wall, more than a fly on the wall, in Tribe sessions and Tribe, Constitution and Foundation on stage and, everything so he's got this ability that's within him as well that I felt like, he just needed to tap into and spit out. And, it was dope to see him stepping into himself as an MC, you know what I'm saying? Whereas he wasn't necessarily someone that was known for rhyming to do an entire album with me. It was dope. It was dope to push him and, and to see him be the best and that he could be. And then from there, step into the latest Tribe project, and he was ready for it.
Yeah, he showed off. Easily showed off. And see, that's what I mean. Like, you've always been around, into, and you've influenced a bunch of sounds. One of the groups I think in hip hop that don't get talked about enough was the Legion. I love the Legion.
All right,
you know what I'm saying?
My people. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Now, I remember when the Legion first dropped, very bass heavy, and you had three distinctive voices. And it was like, yo, they nice as hell. Jingle Jangle, I think, was the first single I ever saw from them. That's when you did the hook and you had a verse. Yeah. And I mean, it seemed like it was unfair that back in the day, like I said, you would get so many people and you would get like a familiar face around those people, but it always seemed like the industry had claws on things and you couldn't get the full aspect of what people got or were given. What do you think happened with the Legion as far as them not going to where they could have went? Do you think the industry did that to you, or was it just people trying to profit off of your face, Chi Ali's face, and then, I'm not saying they didn't have a face, but I'm saying it seemed like people just didn't push them the way they deserved to be pushed?
Yeah, definitely that. They got caught up in the politics of at the time I was dealing with Mercury and Polygram. You know, I had brought them out on the deal that I had as far as I had an imprint called One Love that I did a deal with Polygram. So they were one of the groups I brought out, and I brought out this female R&B group called Image out of the Bay. And the Legion, you know, like they're dope, but they got caught up in the same semantics that the Second Black Sheep Project really got caught up in. Like, you know, Universal was in the process of buying everything. It was an entirely different staff. And as a result, like Black Sheep started going through some internal stuff, whereas me and Lone were about to break up. The Legion were caught up in all of that. And, you know, unfortunately, like, they had got to a place where, you know, like they definitely had made some noise, and I wish that they had just kind of pushed forward as much as they could independently at that point. They're doing a lot more stuff right now, but really at that point, I wish that they had just kind of just pushed the ball on their own a little bit, you know what I'm saying, and pushed it forward, because I think they're an amazing group, and, you know, it's unfortunate that they don't get the accolades that, you know, that you know, should be available to them. You know, they're definitely real hip hop.
Yeah, the Legion Groove was great. Even that video, that was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's back when I was a little younger, so I wasn't able to really go out and be buying albums left and right. You know what I'm saying? Right. But I remember Rap City, Legion Groove came on. We knew what that was. You know what I'm saying?
All right. That's what's up.
And even now, is it Beneficence?
Oh, Beneficence, right? Yeah, no doubt.
No doubt. And that song with you. Shout out to Ella Sensei in the video. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It was like real hip hop does not. And when I say real, I mean from the heart, not industry critic driven. You know what I'm saying?
Right, no doubt.
Real hip hop has a sense of being able to survive, live, and breed new influence when you hear it.
Right.
That makes you a legacy artist, correct?
All right. Yeah.
So
I mean, I appreciate the love. It's all good.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think holds people from your generation and back from continuing to deliver sounds, music, and influence? When I mean, I know people try to say hip hop is the young man's driven industry. No, it's not. The business aspect and the people who are funding it try to tell us that lie. But
right.
Your generation and before, y'all can continue to make great music and influence. Why do you think people aren't as active as they could be when it comes to still delivering sounds to fans who will still remember, acknowledge, and love y'all? Period.
Well, you know, like, because I think of some of the myths that is, you know, that is pushed out there, that, you know, it just makes it seem like it's an uphill sport, and there is a contingency of cats that are gonna be naysayers, and you know, there's definitely the young cats that, you know, will say I don't mess with the moldy cats, and the older cats that are bitter, but there's also the much greater contingency of people that you're just talking about that would respect it and love it. So, you know, I think a lot of older cats have just got to keep, you know, like just keep pushing forward the reason why they started. You know what I'm saying? And just keep believing, and you know, and it's there. You know what I'm saying? But the moment that you stop, then it's over. Then, you know, then it's stopped. You know, so I mean, in my heart, like, you know, I feel like I've got so, like, I feel like any other artist of any genre of music that has more music in them, so that's just where I'm at on it. But, I think it's for cats to just keep rocking, man. Like, and for platforms to respect good music, like good music knows no genre, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you could be dope at any age, be dope, you know what I'm saying? And I hope people will always respect that,
Yeah, I do too. And as a person, since we put time frame into it, let me ask you: as music has evolved with beat making and production in hip hop, as the MC, do you feel more fulfilled? It's a hard question. Excuse me. An MC can write to anything. Not a rapper. A rapper could just rap, but an MC can create and write to anything. Is it easier for you to write to today's music, being that it's more sonically open than yesteryear's beat and loop type of production?
Like, honestly, like, there's things that that are more pleasing to your ear. So, I mean, I think anything that I find myself feeling, of any time frame, that makes it easier for me to hear something to it. But I think just as a mode of operation, like I definitely feel much closer to to things that are a little bit more boom bap in nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, like I can touch some of what exists today, but I'm not. Some of it is so regurgitated that, like, that I prefer to let it slide by. Like, I think part of being a good MC is to know what you sound good on. You know what I'm saying? And not that you can't jump on anything and make it sound like something that you can stand next to. But I think it's also for you to know the things that complement who you are and what you bring to the table. And, like, there's certain joints that, like, you'll hear and you'll be like, oh, that track sound like Busta, or that track sound like Ghostface. I always hear the track, oh, that's my track right there. And those are the things that, like, I love those tracks, you know what I'm saying? Because what I bring to those is that, is art, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have something artistic for it. But art also is being placed in a situation where it's not something that you picked, where, for me to do, like, State of Yo, that was a track presented to me. For me to do, First and Then with Handsome Boy Milo School. That was a track Prince Paul presented, you know what I'm saying? And you take those things that you had nothing to do with as far as the creation of, and you bring a piece of yourself to it, you know what I'm saying? And, or even you picking, a certain type of track, so I mean, different things create different scenarios, but, I think as long as you stay authentic and, 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 and you think out, like, it's good to live with whatever you're about to create for a little bit so that it could speak to you a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't always have to speak to it. Sometimes music will tell you what should go on top of it if you just listen to it for a bit,
So then, has the voice of the beat changed with the technology as well as the feeling, or do you think it's just being able to translate it when you come into your creation?
Some of both, some of both, because I think there's times to play with, a cadence and things that might be structured a little bit more for today, but might have might have the persona of what you bring to the table. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are times, I think, where you can show the dexterity of an MC and just touch what they do, but really not even touch, just run through what they do. on your way somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? But just to show, that like that you can acknowledge what it is, but you can also differentiate yourself from it in the same breath. So I mean, it's all there, and I think this is a dope time for all dope artists, because right now there's so many people that are, I put it like this, me young was a bunch of cats that got love because we sounded like no one else. A lot of these cats get a lot of love because they sound just like something. You know what I'm saying? And, this is a dope time right now to sound like no one else and cut through the noise, like, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a dope time to just create, like, to be some of the things that aren't there. I don't see the Marvin Gaye. I don't see the Curtis Mayfield. You know what I'm saying? I don't see the Barry White. You know what I'm saying? Like, in our hip hop right now, and all of that is applicable. All of that is necessary. Right now, all of that would stand out like a sore thumb. Word up.
Mm. So what's the most frustrating thing about hip hop from your point of view, being that you've been in the game, you've seen the game change, and you're still able to contribute to it? What frustrates you the most?
I think just the gatekeepers are a little bit frustrating, whereas they, we've taken a lot of power out of DJs' hands. DJs used to be the cats that introduced us to new music, and every week they was introducing us to new dope stuff. Now it's all syndicated and everybody's playing the same thing, and we think it's a hit, not because it's dope, but because it's got 10 zillion views. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish they didn't have views on YouTube and all that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you should like it because you like it, and DJs should be always introducing us to new music, and and what matters should be what's relevant. And don't get it twisted. We've always had a silly song or a dance or a moment of just sheer unadulterated whatever. That's always existed, but that's never been the entree. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all got us eating this cotton candy, you know what I'm saying, like, for dinner. And like that's not the variety that we're missing is at this point causing us contamination. Like we could do better. And hopefully we start. It's a new year.
Yeah, Flex said that the radio doesn't break records anymore. That's what the internet is for.
But that's not. I don't believe that.
I don't either. But I will say this: the internet gave way to genrealism now, and that's something hip hop never has been accused of. Is genrealism. Like now, because the radio, terrestrial radio, is so porous in delivery, that now the internet radio came up, and now you can get people who play their style of hip hop to an audience that they like, and that keeps a lot of the hip hop alive.
True.
I think you have been, I think you've been beneficial of that, because while Black Sheep or Dres is not something that people may know mainstream, as far as now where everybody learns about Lil Durk and things like that, I think now it's dope that I could go to my son or daughter and say, this is what I used to listen to, and then we could pass on the legacy of hip hop rather than to get sucked into the so-called normalcy of genrealism within hip hop. How do you feel about that?
I totally agree with what you just said. What you just said was amazing, and I agree with you 100%. The one thing that I would offer in conjunction would be that what a Flex believes isn't, like it doesn't have to be that way. Like our music doesn't have to be just, 2 red cups and, and a Maserati. You know what I'm saying? And our children should, like I feel like this, like I come from a place where we grew up on our parents' music. You know what I'm saying? And that was the difference in us creating ours. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were able to stand on the shoulders of our parents' music and create ours. Like, there's nothing wrong with these kids growing up on the music of their parents, you know what I'm saying, and to create this. You know what I'm saying? I dare say it would have so much more foundation, you know what I'm saying, in reality. Like, their music is the bulk of what's popular isn't even reality based. You know what I'm saying? Like it literally isn't. It's an embellishment on the best moment of your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not reality. And like, but it's all still there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like sometimes, we walk by our wealth looking for riches. You know what I'm saying? But the wealth is still there. You know what I'm saying? Like, like we could still, just step back, look at the scenario, and readdress it. It's right there, and I hope every artist sees that. Like, it's right there, like, to be dope. You know what I'm saying? Just reach into yourself and do it like only you can do it. Huh.
Part of that responsibility in hip hop that you've massively also hit is the social awareness. We're in a time when social awareness seems to be back in the game as well. I want to ask you a question. Dilla Drums is one of the, I think, most refreshing songs I heard in a long time. Thank you for making it. Thank you for making it. Now that hip hop and the culture of people of color in America seems to be more social, seems to be more political, seems to be more economical and more business savvy. What do you think is the direction hip hop has to go to achieve capturing the voices of people who do music at the time today?
I think there's new agendas for us. And I think everything that we've been through has led us to it. And I think the new agenda, honestly, is it sounds corny, but it's like, things sound corny, but until you realize, like, but we've never done it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, unity. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now, if we have more millionaires in our music than ever before, you know what I'm saying, then we have to be able to look at each other not as even competition, and definitely not as adversaries. Like, we're family. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what coast you're from. Like we have to, look at the systemic walk of us, and understand that like, we were divided, we were subjugated, we were disenfranchised. Like, so many things were done to the degree that anytime anyone of any color does anything to anyone of any color, they could be doing something to a family member, literally. And until we start seeing in us, we to look at see each other and trust. Like, we now have all of these millionaires. Like no one should be throwing 50, 60, 70,000 or whatever the cats throw in a strip club. Like, we should all be parlaying, resources into our community and doing things that they won't, that we don't have to ask for. Like, it's time for us to start purchasing land and creating our own wealth, in a real community based nature. And that's how we get strong. Like, we see that we see how powerful our vote is when we move together. But everything works that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was just a microcosm of how strong our voice is. But if we all move like that with our dollar becomes that strong. If we all, move that way with education, then our education becomes that strong. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything that we apply unity to, we have the power to change it for our advantage. And it's just us being on code and not looking to fail, not expecting to fail, not allowing each other to fail. You know what I'm saying? Like that needs to be our mindset. Like, you can't fail because we're together. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we're at now. Like we've conquered so many other things individually, but now it's time for all of these great fingers to form a fist. You know what I'm saying? And to erect, you know what I'm saying, us, you know, unified. That's what it's about now. And that's how we win. Like that's how we fight. You know, like that's how we make a difference. You know, unified, and that's on all fronts. And I hope that, you know, our music starts illustrating that, because that's what time it is. That's the next move.
So the main thing that brought us together is how we're going to start finishing this interview off is the music. So with knowing all that, and knowing that you have people who listen and look for your voice, is there any new music come out, and what do you have for your fans to expect when it comes to something going on in your life? Period.
Well, I got a new project coming out. Like I said, I was blessed to get permission from Mob Dukes to go through personal files of Dilla and create a project. So I have a project that's coming out this summer that's entirely produced by Jay Dilla, and it's called No Words. And it's an amazing project. It's the album that, you know, like I feel like when cats talk about, you know, like a golden era, and, you know, like especially if you want to, you know, explain it to someone younger, a younger generation, this album you should give them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's called No Words because I could show you better than I could tell you. You know what I'm saying? And this is the album that you're gonna feel something in 2021 that isn't really synonymous with what you feel in 2021. You know, so I have a real special project that I put together, and I can't wait for people to check it out. Definitely stay in touch with me at poolofgenius.com, which is my website. You can get past work, see videos, merch. I'm on IG at Black Sheep Dres, and on Twitter at Dres Black Sheep. And you know, just doing what I've been doing for like a minute now. I've been being who I am longer than I haven't. So it's a good feeling, you know what I'm saying, that I've made a career of, you know, just rocking mics and making music. A lot of love.
That's what's up. So everybody, you got Dres from Black Sheep's IG, and all I'm going to say is for everybody, just let you know, Heritage Hip Hop does not believe in streams. We believe in buying, because if the internet grid went down, you would not own your music. So after going through 2020 and now 2021 being a bastard as well, if you have somebody that you love and you're fans of these legacy artists, I would say please buy the music and support them, because that guarantees you more music, and it keeps them rocking and know that they appreciate it. You agree with that, sir?
I definitely do, sir. Appreciate that.
And that's what it's all about. So we're going to get some music. Remember, everybody, we buy. If you stream to like it, cool. But if you like it to love it, own it. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Love is love.
Now, before we close out this interview, I like to play a game called the Rapid Fire Questions. I would like for you to play that game. Are you ready to play the game with me?
Let's do it.
All right. Well, the Rapid Fire Questions are not yes/no questions. These are questions that I've made to show your depth of hip hop knowledge and appreciation of what you've done for the game. Now, because you've been in the industry, I have different questions for you than I have for an up-and-coming artist, and I like to get your words on it. All right?
Sure.
Okay. So my first question, being that you are in the industry, is this: what do you think is the most important song you've ever made?
Propagation.
And well, tell me why.
Propagation is a song that I wrote to my son and to all kids of color. It's something I did maybe about 5 or 6 years ago. And my man, Music Maestro, who I met through Showbiz, hit me with the track, and it's just literally one long, you know, it's just straight through. There's no hook, but I wanted to write a joint that I felt all kids of color needed to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like I just felt like that record didn't exist, and so I made it. And to say that, you know, like it's not the popular record. You know, it's not something that 8 million people have heard. Like, you know, Choice Is Yours. But as far as important, like I think it's one of the most important records that I've ever read.
and that goes into my next question. You made a record talking to young black boys about their life and the importance of them growing up. My question to you next is this: what message in hip hop have you not heard yet that you think needs to be delivered since you made that record?
I think there's a lot. You know, I mean, just reality-based truths. You know what I'm saying? There's so much going on in our upbringings right now, in our households right now, in our relationships right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're at a point where, you know, like we're more accepting of so many things that, you know, that you're free to kind of speak, you know, your reality. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's all kinds of honest realities out there right now that I think the world would be open to understanding. You know what I'm saying? And especially if they're authentic and they have girth. You know what I'm saying? Where you can get something from them. You know what I'm saying? Like across the board. You know, like there's plenty of things that I feel like can be brought to the table. Let alone principles. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like how to identify, you know, assets, you know what I'm saying, and how and the importance of, you know, maintenance and, you know, like replenishment and, you know, like all kinds of things can be brought to the table and made to sound dope. You just have to be dope to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, cats get caught up in being an extension of something that they deem successful.
Okay. I like what you said, because in today's climate, Public Enemy would have been the top group in the game. And I think the industry has made it so that the Public Enemy sound does not come back the way it was when it flourished. You know?
Right.
And seeing, I was like, that. So what you was gonna say?
No, that's 100% right. And you know, and when they force feed something, then they'll have you, you know, humming whatever they're force feeding. You know, if they play something that's, you know, la-di-da-di-da-di, you know, 25 times a day on every station, then, you know, you'll find yourself in the car, la-di-da-di-da-di. You know what I'm saying? Like, that could easily be something of substance. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, you know, like, it all plays into, I think, an agenda that's above our heads anyway. You know? But, you know, it doesn't mean that we can't combat it like we have been. You know, there's been many agendas above our heads that we've been combating. Like, sometimes I have you in a fight you didn't even realize you was in. But, it doesn't mean you can't win. Well, doesn't mean you can't win.
All right. Most influential record that changed your life and that helped you make your own influential record?
Jeez. Honestly, I would have to say, it's not a hip hop record. It would be, Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder. When I was a kid, like, I learned all of the words that came with this. It came with you know, like with the words written in a songbook. And I learned all of the words, you know, even Spanish and Swahili. And it was like really the first album that introduced me to the power of words. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really came to see how powerful words were as a result of that album.
Okay. And how did it help you make your most influential record as well?
I think I always just came from a place where writing, I always felt comfortable to be honest and to just honestly speak to what I saw, you know, be it within myself or within society.
Okay. All right. I respect that. With hip hop now going through another renewal due to the Donald Trump era of America, how important is it now for MCs to tell the truth instead of telling the fantasy of being rich and having things, in your opinion?
Very, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get it twisted. Hip hop is braggadocious in art form, you know, and that doesn't have to change. I'm not asking everyone to become Chuck D, you know, or KRS. Everyone isn't even capable. You know what I'm saying? But there's a reality that everyone is capable of. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes even with more depth than Chuck D or KRS can offer. You know what I'm saying? If you're honest. You know what I'm saying? And you know, like that, and that goes to being an artist. Like, you know, like a lot of the cats got it in them. They just don't realize they got it in them because they're not being themselves. And you know, like, and they're doing a horrible job of being whoever they're trying to be. You know, so they're trying to push this narrative that the things, the baubles of life give them rank. But that's not true. You know what I'm saying? Like those are all passing. Those are things that you'll lose. Literally, like, you know, like lose. Like, you know, like, not to say that it'll even be taken. Like, you'll literally lose, you know what I'm saying? Because they literally don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and, you know, like people and the realities of your life that are to be taken care of, your family and all, you know, like, you know, like, you know, I hope you're not too old or too far gone on the path that you're on before you realize what really matters in life. You know, so, you know, like, and, you know, like, those are all records. Those are all records that can exist with every record that exists right now. Because that's where I come from. Whereas, you know, like, there was silly records and dumb records and, you know, shit, there was whack records. Every record wasn't dope. But we all everything existed together. There was, you know, killer records. There was, you know, records that taught you about the countries of Africa. I mean, you know, like, you know, like, you get anything from a record. You know what I'm saying? Like, from the Police to the TV dance. You know, like, it was all there. You know, and it could be that again. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're smart enough to differentiate what we need from our music, given the opportunity.
So I have three more questions, and then we're going to close out the interview. How'd you like the interview tonight? Is Heritage Hip Hop give you a cellular, meaningful interview?
Oh yeah, definitely. I appreciate it.
Right.
You know, it was a good conversation.
Thank you for that, and I appreciate your word. So one of the final three questions I'm gonna ask you is this: you're from Queens, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what side
Yeah.
of Queens are you from?
The Storia projects and the Bland projects from Flushing.
Flushing. All right, Flushing. So when we think of Queens, right, we think of Queens and we think of Brooklyn. That's two of the lead voices when it comes to hip hop and hip hop music. And Queens is so big that Queens has so many different pockets of hip hop within it. What makes your area of Queens different from Left Rack and Queensbridge, et cetera, Southside Jamaica and all that? Well, how does your side differentiate itself from old sides of Queens, hip hop wise?
Well, my project is 2 projects over from Queensbridge.
Okay.
I'm from Astoria project. That's in Astoria, and and my grandparents on the Spanish side lived in the Bland and Flushing. So I was always between the two. And Queens is like definitely its own, you know, like definitely its own universe as far as hip hop, I think. Whereas, you know, there's definitely some different dopenesses that you can get from different areas at different points in time. From, you know, from a Salt and Pepper to an LL, young LL, which young LL was so instrumental again. You look at Crush Groove LL and, you know, like, try to bottle that. You know what I'm saying? Like, to, you know what I'm saying, to Mobb Deep, to Tragedy, to Nature, to, you know what I'm saying, to, man, to Cool G Rap, you know what I'm saying, to Tip and Fife, you know what I'm saying, like, man, like, to 50, you know what I'm saying, to Lloyd, thanks, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, like, Queens is beastly, you know what I'm saying, like, you know, shoot, word up, like,
Okay.
through the James, like, like, Queens has always been, like, this masterful spot, like, you know, and Queens is, you know, always kind of halfway been a little bit of suburbia on the outside, so, you know, like, you know, it's not a lot of like tall buildings as far as like where you'll see in Harlem or where you'll see in the Bronx or even Brooklyn for that matter. So Queens kind of, you know, gets the mystique of being a little bit more well-to-do than some of the other boroughs, but that's just straight gasoline. That's like, you know, saying that there's houses in Compton. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, cats in Compton ain't, you know, like they ain't trying to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, everyone's reality is their reality. So Queens reality, like, I think the MCs of Queens have etched out very well the stance, you know, of Queens in hip hop. You know, Queens is very masterful.
Word. In my opinion, I'm biased. I'm from New Jersey. I say New Jersey has the best hip hop on the planet. That's just me. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't mad at you.
But when it comes to hip hop, we always say it's Brooklyn versus Queens on everything. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, Brooklyn edges out Queens in one thing. And that is that Brooklyn was able to come together and make a single together and make a hit at that. Twice and 3 times over, which is the Crooklyn Dodgers. And they didn't take their top tier best MCs that people could say at the time or whatever and make the song. They came together as a borough to create a hit. My question to you is, in your opinion, if we had a Queens version of the Crooklyn Dodgers, who would be the 3? Who do you think would put Queens on a whole nother light and make people look at like, oh, that's crazy? Like, who do you think that would be? And you can include yourself if you want to.
Let me see. Oh, that would be the. Let me see. That would be really dope. I think would be. I would say me, Tragedy Gaddafi, and Nature. I'd like to hear that.
Interesting. Wow. All right. So when you gonna do it? When you gonna do it?
I'm saying, yeah. All right. I need to put that in motion. I need to put that in motion. I think that would just be dope just to hear. You know what I'm saying?
Tragedy Gaddafi is one of the most underappreciated MCs in history to me.
Amazing.
To me.
Amazing MC. Amazing MC.
And very knowledgeable. And in Nature has that voice. You know what I'm saying? So
and he's gonna hit you with something. Yeah, Nature, and his masterful with his words. So I think that'd be dope.
Yeah, who's gonna produce it?
Large Professor.
Yeah, see, that's it. All right, let's Extra P. What's good? Let's make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
I thank you for coming on the Heritage Hip Hop Podcast. You made me as a person who loves. Thank you. You made somebody who loves hip hop appreciate the art of the conversation, the interview, and even learning more than anything. The Bible says that when you go to a knowledgeable man, you go to his doorsteps and you have your manuscript, so you can write down his words and you can keep them close to you. You know what I'm saying? So. With that knowledge, my final question, I usually ask people about their legacies. Now, you have been in the game, so I'm going to ask your legacy question this way. You have been a highly influential person when it comes to dress, voice, style, and delivery on the microphone. When they go to the Hip Hop Hall of Fame and they see your hologram, because, technology's taking over, they see your hologram. What will be the one thing you think people will say endured about you that it keeps inspiring people 200, 300 to 500 years later about your style?
That he finished better than he began.
All right, enough said. So everybody out there that's listening, always remember to finish whatever you create, because the ending will be just as masterful, if not better, than the beginning of your journey. Your goal isn't to finish. Your goal is to complete. You see what I'm saying?
No doubt.
So thank you.
Indeed.
This is Career from Heritage Hip Hop with Dres of Black Sheep of The Choice Is Yours, Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, And Dilla Drums out right now, song with Chuck D. Make sure you go get that and support his movement on his website. What's the website again?
poolofgenius.com.
poolofgenius.com. Remember, we own our music. We do not stream, and we urge you to do that too. And with that being said, we say peace. And we out. Thank you, bro. Thank you very much.
Thank you, family. One.
Peace.
Shout out to Dres of the Black Sheep for continuing to make a mark in hip hop. So a lot of jewels was dropped on this one, and a lot of good words. You know, I like to give a shout out to everybody out there: Queens hip hop, Jersey hip hop, Brooklyn hip hop all over the world. Because our greats laid down the foundation to inspire us. And one thing Black Sheep has always done, it was bring flow, integrity, and artistry to the game. And Dres continues to do that. So make sure you go to poolofgenius.com to look for his new videos, new music, and more. Salute to the OG, and thank you for the interview. This interview is brought to you by heritagehiphop.com, where we are more than music, and we introduce your future favorite artists to you today. Please check us out at heritagehiphop.com, become a member, and hear exclusive music, exclusive playlists, videos, and all types of podcast interviews just like this one. You can follow Heritage Hip Hop on Anchor.fm, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Tumblr, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We are everywhere, all at the same time. And all that's missing or making Heritage Hip Hop go to the next level is you. If you'd like to donate to Heritage Hip Hop, you can donate to Cash App, $ Heritage Hip Hop. Anything you give is appreciated, and it helps to build this platform. We'd like to say thank you to MJ's Hip Hop's Connects. She supplies us so much dopeness, and she's also made us a member of the Heat DJs. Thank you, MJ, for everything that you do. Salute to the Fleet DJs, DJ Big A, especially Tommy Guns, the Goodfellas TV. Recap with the Goodfellas. I'm also a co-host on that. So salute to them. Salute to 8 Squad, Rebel Radio, my team, Michael Bradley, Lex Pierre, Fire Jaws, and my partner, BQ of Fatty's Place. Everybody out there, thank you for much appreciation to all of you that help us build Heritage Hip Hop. We ask that you stay safe. Make sure COVID's not over, so make sure you stay safe and you keep your health up. We'd like to give a shout out and a remembrance to everybody out there who's lost people during this time, because this is a very serious time we're in and it's not over yet. Please love yourselves, love your family, and love everybody around you, and appreciate life, because every day somebody's not waking up. And the simple fact you can hear my voice and share your ideas and voice with other people is a blessing. So please recognize those blessings and stay safe and appreciate everybody else's life. Be safe out there, please. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Heritage Hip Hop Podcast. We're almost at 100. We're at 93. We got 7 more to go, and the Heritage Hip Hop Awards is coming up very soon. We got our midway point, so we're going to introduce that very soon. So to everybody out there that's celebrating with us and happy to be, alive and well with us, we thank you. We share this hip hop with you. Please join us for more. And with that being said, this is Carell from Heritage Hip Hop saying peace, and we out.